a problem that I don't think is being solved by current technologies. Do you realise that over 1 in 10 people in this country, in an advanced world, are dyslexic? That's 6 million people in the UK. And then on top of that, if you add low-level visual impairments, which that is a person who can see a computer and operate it, but can't necessarily read the words, that swells to 8 million. But, because we haven't got that many slides, we only have to put the work on straight away, you can see it's not just a UK problem, it's a global problem. And if we look across the world to the USA, 54 million. In continental Europe, that's 64. That's nearly the size of the UK has trouble accessing information. And I'd like to tell you through my personal story how I think current software solutions just simply don't work. I actually found out I was dyslexic after university when I was president of the student union, which I'd love to say I'm not bitter, but I am, because I could have had an extra 25% in the exams and I could have had a free computer every year. But because I was still within the university sphere, they actually agreed to give me the technology that was given to students. And I got 2 bits of software to install on my Windows PC, and that was software that would read a website out aloud. The second bit of software would actually change the background colour. And if I have a yellow background, blue text, and it's squashed in the middle, I actually read twice as fast. And it's not the best to read when you've got a hangover mind to put down. So this was life-changing for me, because I've always been an inquisitive guy, but I hated reading at the same time. I've only ever read 5 books. Then I went to work, and I was back to square one. And this just didn't make sense, because the software that I got was installed on the PC. I wasn't there. And then I went to the library, and I realised that because I didn't have administration rights, that PC would never be accessible to me being dyslexic. It just simply didn't make sense. And that's where I created Resight. Resight is an online system that intercepts a website, automatically repackages it in the cloud, and passes it on to the user, but it adds functions in this process. The main function is it will automatically read out the website aloud. It will allow a user to manipulate the background colours in the text, particularly for them. Here's mine, yellow background, blue text. It will also add dictionary definitions, so it will describe a word. It will also translate it into a foreign language and read it out in a French accent, if that's what you think. So, the next question is, how do we make money? And there's 2 simple models. We go to a website, we've got a range of tools, it's a simple plugin. You see, you're not making enough adjustments for people with dyslexia. Here's a line of code. Add it to your site, 5 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock the next morning, you will have all these functions automatically installed. Any person that comes from any device will be able to access your system and have it read out aloud without any software being installed. So they could be coming from a PC, they could be using an iPad, they could be using an Android device. The second charging model is for somebody like myself. You're dyslexic, it sucks, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years. Nobody's sitting in front of the one PC now. Everybody's using multiple devices to access data online. Our system, for $2 a month, will allow you to access any data online in an accessible way for you. It's a roaming profile. So where are we to date? The business-to-business section has actually been launched. It got launched in November. We've currently got sales in 5 countries. We've currently got a contract value of about £51,000 and a pipeline much, much higher. We're due to go live with the personal version. So a person who, for users who traditionally would pay £300 for software installed on the computer and just use that one computer, they can now pay £3 per month and use it from any device. I'd like to move on to the team. Yourself, every single programmer is a first-class honours degree. Very, very talented people, but I'd like to particularly draw your attention to the top. Steve Nelson, who's recently just done, he's also an investor, working 2 days a week as well. He's just done an exit of Communicator Corp to the Trinity Mirror Group for $8 million, where he owned roughly about 15% of the shares. And particularly Paul Thompson, who, for the business-to-business side, has an international sales network and has spent 10 years in the disability software area. And I very much look forward to answering your questions.
You mentioned some of your competitors in the background.
Yes.
How do you differentiate from competitors?
The biggest competitor in the UK is a company called TechAllStars, which is browser-load, which they will go to a website and offer a computer download that will only work on Windows. system's different. We will go to the website and say it's a tool, add a line of JavaScript, and any device that accesses your website, such as a mobile phone, will be able to access it. So it's a solution for the website, not for the computer. Does that make sense?
I'd just like to hear a bit more about your bigger kind of vision for, are there other things you can do for dyslexics further down the line?
I think further down the line, what we're keen to move into is people who are non-dyslexic. We've kept, to launch the product, we've been very narrow on what we're aiming at. It's people who need the device. But how many people would like to listen to a document on the way to work? Our system will already actually do that. It will be able to stream a PDF of management reports while you're driving in the car. So we're very keen to expand it to people who simply just can't be bothered to read at points.
I'm interested in your pricing. You say $2 to $3 a month for end users. For something that provides so much value, it seems very low. I just wonder how you came about that price.
Once the software is developed, the actual physical material impact to the business is not that much. And it's very much a passion of mine that I'm dyslexic, and I was restricted for a lot of years. I mean, I've done engineering. Has anybody ever done engineering in here? Won't ever do it, but it was far away from English as you can get. So there's a passion for me is to make it to a price point where it's not a consideration. And particularly in an advanced world, how many people would not pay $3 a month? But if 64 million people did purchase it for $3, it's a very, very scalable, global, worldwide business.
Ross, if you look at the individual components or the functionality that you provide, so text to voice has been around for a while. There are lots of ways to do that. Text to caller, an XSL transformation is not that difficult to do. Text to translate, okay, well, that's been done too. So individually, it seems like the components exist. What's so special about your mix of those ingredients? And is there something proprietary to you that you do really well that makes your product effective for a while?
It's particularly scanning the websites is actually it's not the easiest thing to do. That's where the technology lies, is actually identifying the sites. All websites are coded in a different way, and it does throw a lot of problems. One of the advantages of our system is that where screen readers that sit on top of computers will not be able to read it if the website's not coded properly. Recite will be able to read it 9 times out of 10.
Thank you. So next up is Ken Cox from the UK and Infogram, you're next.
Good afternoon. I'm Philip. I'm the co-founder of TechAllStars. I would like to start with a question. Who has ever gone to the United States for holidays? Please, hands up. Lots of people. That's when you go to the US, you usually have one problem. You do not know what the price of your trip will be. For one simple reason. If you book a flight and your hotel today, you pay in dollars, you know the exchange rate, that you know the price in sterling. But price of local cost, food, drinks in 2 or 3 months. Maybe you know the price in US dollar, but you don't know the price in sterling because you do not know the future exchange rate. Thus, for individuals, it's not a big problem because it's small money. But for companies, it's big, big, big money. A lot of companies are getting bankruptcy because of FX loss. Thus, they have to find a solution. They can mainly go to the bank and buy a derivative. But the problem of derivatives is a complicated product, complex to understand, very expensive, and a lot of companies don't want to use them. In the UK, for example, 55% of SMEs do not hedge FX risk because they do not want to use derivatives. Thus, we need a solution for this big group of companies unable to hedge. And in TechAllStars, we have one idea, which is to kill derivatives with a very, very simple solution. Let's start with the team. Tony and I were working with Deloitte, we were consultants. We started working on the idea, and then we had the opportunity during the startup weekend to meet John and Adam, who built the beta platform and started with a solution to start selling. And some months ago, we thought we need much more knowledge, and thus Magnus, Laurent, and Christophe, who are bankers and ethics bankers, joined the team. Thus we now have a very reliable and experienced team. Our solution is really simple. We have a marketplace, eBay style, where you can go and sell currency or buy currency forward. For example, you can say, I will sell $1.5 million in 2 months. You can post your hedge, and you will see appearing counterparty, meaning companies which want to buy this $1 million in 1 or 2 months. It's transparent, you know who they are, we trade with a mid-market rate, you can decide with what counterparty you want to hedge. And it's the opposite of derivative. It's simple, it's transparent, and it's low cost. Traction. These data are a little outdated. We now have 25 trading clients, companies with revenues from 1 million to 1 million. We traded $3.5 million, and we charge almost $10,000 per fee. Sales are mainly focused until now on direct sales, because we have more sales team. Tony, my co-founder, and I are mainly selling. And what's really surprising is that 25 clients who use Cantos one time are repeating, and they are referring us to our network of companies. Thus, we are growing internally. It's really a surprise to us, but it's a good way to grow, frankly. Competition, the devil, you know them probably. Thus, we differentiate in 2 simple ways. We have low and transparent fees, whereas derivatives are high and hidden fees. You never know what you are paying them. And our product is really simple. It's barter. Is there someone here who understands derivatives? 1 out of 50. Yeah, that's a good result. Some data about funding. We get a very small funding last year in July, just to build the beta platform, to start getting traction and to prove that our solution was fine. And last week, we closed 800,000 euros funding with venture capital from Spain, fxsuite.com, which is a leading website providing FX data, and some FX traders. Oh, and one last thing. Last month, we did what probably is the largest peer-to-peer finance trade ever. It was a 1.6 million deal between 2 large corporates. Because we think